Hi, good nerve Shabbos. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos sends mixed messages regarding the whether a person's neshama, a person's soul, wants to be living in the body. It's a Mishnah in Perek Daled, Mishnah Chav Beis, chapter 4, Mishnah 22. So the Mishnah reads, Al Korchach Ata Noitzer. We are formed, we are created against our will. Meaning, as Rashi in his commentary on the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Rashi actually illustrates how the neshama is actually dragged down, come into the body. And it doesn't come in willingly, because, it's a dark world. It's not as comfortable as it was when it was up high in heaven. Because when a person sins, it's painful for the neshama. So he's putting himself in a neshama is coming into a potentially a very difficult situation. But obviously, being that this is God's will, Hashem wants that the neshama should come down into the body. Therefore, the neshama does realize the benefits. So but the Mishnah says that it's against its will, it's dragged down. And the end of the Mishnah says, Al Korchach Ata Mes. When a person's coming to die, so the neshama doesn't want to leave the body. So wait a second. If it was forced to come down, then why does it not want to leave the body? So, the commentaries grapple with this contradiction. The Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Chabad Rebbe, offers a very interesting interpretation. In other words, I guess the question is that maybe it should really be the other way around. That initially the neshama doesn't know of the pain of this world, and therefore initially it's very idealistic and it wants to do what Hashem wants, so it comes down willingly. But once it comes down to this world and it suffers through the pains and the tribulations of life, so then it's more than it's ready to leave. So seemingly it should really be the other way around. So the Rebbe Rashab says that and the neshama knows what's happening in this world. The neshama knows that here's reports. It knows that the world is difficult, so initially it doesn't want to come down. But when the neshama comes down into this world, and it does taida and mitzvahs, the wording of the Maimer, it's a Tafresh Mem Tes, 1888, page 234, Reish Lamed Daled. So the Rebbe Rashab says, Zehu la'acher shenizbarer. When the neshama comes down into this world, I'm adding this interpretation, but I think this is what he means. And it does taida and mitzvahs. The taida and mitzvahs elevate the neshama, and when the neshama is elevated, it's then able to have a deeper appreciation for taida and mitzvahs, and it then has a stronger desire to do taida and mitzvahs because it was elevated and it realizes the importance on a deeper level. Therefore, it wants to continue living in this world, regardless of the side effects. So initially, the neshama is not on the level to have a complete appreciation of Torah mitzvahs. Therefore, it does not want to come down. after the neshama comes down to this world and it does mitzvahs, it's then uplifted to have a deeper appreciation for what's right, and even though it's going to be difficult, and therefore doesn't want to leave the body when the time comes after 120. That's the Rebbe Rashab's interpretation. Now, possibly you can add an additional interpretation into this mission, into this contradiction, into this paradox. Does the neshama want to be here, or does it not want to be here? This is not necessarily, it's a little more drash, it's not necessarily pshat. By prefacing, we all know the famous Gemara, Masechta Shabbos, where the Gemara relates the story of Matan Torah. A couple pages, and it goes through the different details of what happened, and so on and so forth. So the Gemara relates that Hashem placed a mountain on top of the Jews. Kof aleim har kegigis, he put a mountain on their heads and forced them to accept the Torah. So the commentaries ask, this question already goes back to the Medrash Tanchuma. Taisvus asks the question in Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Peiches Amud Aleph. So the Gemara asks, wait a second, don't we all know the other incident that the Jews were ready to blindly accept whatever Hashem wants? Nasiv and Nishma. We will do, and then we will hear and understand. Seemingly, they were ready to go ahead and accept the Torah. So, did Hashem need to force them to do it, or were they? Did they go ahead and say Nasa Kaidim Lanishma? And we know they were rewarded for doing that. They received 2 crowns for their commitment. So seemingly they were not forced. So numerous answers have been suggested to this age-old question. The Maharal of Prague has a famous answer regarding to this question. He mentions it a number of times in his Svarim. I'm going to quote from the Maharal in Tiferes Yisrael Perek Lamed Beis. It's quoted all over. This is a famous Maharal. He says a very deep word. He says obviously the Yidden they had this commitment and they were going to accept the Torah and they were all excited and all into it. But Hashem said, wait a second. I don't want that your accepting of the Torah should be solely because this is what you want to do. I want that you should accept, I want that the Torah should be something which is so deeply connected to you that this is what you have to do. In other words, the compelling is not viewed in the negative, it's actually a positive. It makes it even deeper. That it's so one with the Jews that this is what they have to do. They can't not do it. It's like we don't breathe because we want to breathe. We breathe because that's who we are. So Hashem wanted to force the Torah, meaning he wanted to grind it into them that it's one with them. So possibly you can apply this concept to the neshama as well. The neshama wants to come down into this world, but Hashem drags it down to tell the neshama that you're not coming down to this world because you want to come down to this world, or only because you want to come down to this world. You're coming down to this world because that's your DNA. That's what you're all about. That's the point of your creation. That's the reason you're here. So it's al korach hanoitzer. Obviously, the neshama wants to be here, and it has to be dragged out. But it's also here because that's what it's all about.